Imagine this. One random day you wake up and realize you were transported in an H-type anime. Those lucky moments like tripping on nothing then. Bruh. How? How is that even possible? So yeah, you'll experience all of that. But not really. Why? Because you're one of those annoying side characters who's friends with the main heroine. You see your friend for some reason get girls without even trying while you're just there. A pervert with negative aura. You're a loser. The girls hate you. You get zero. Why do they even exist? I love Delta. Anyways, that's going to happen to this guy who we'll be looking at today. And before starting, this is the name of this manga. A game called Magical Explorer, or MAGIX for short, is a student life game with exploring dungeons and gaining levels. You can be whatever you want in this game, a warrior, alchemist, or a blacksmith. And most of all, it's an H game. He always enjoys playing it and was happy. I'm surprised this guy seems built and looks like the type that would steal your girl in every NTR. And not some fat guy that would steal your girl in every NTR. He went to bed as usual, but in the morning, he woke up and see that he looks different. He checks himself. Then looks at his reflection again, then recognized that the character is named Takioto, who's from MAGIX. He started pinching himself to confirm he's not dreaming. After that, he observes his surrounding and see that it's not too different from the real world. He then walks outside and see that there are people with different races with their pets. He smiles as he confirms that he really is in the world of MAGIX. He then thinks for a moment, then realizes he can also meet the female heroines of this game. He thinks of the characters that can be rizzed in the game and also the characters he likes but can't be pursued. And since he's also in an H game, that means he'd also be able to touch someone accidentally and would not be reported, then realizes something. He's just a support character. And those wow things only happens to the main protagonist. The protagonist will have everything. He would be prioritized and become overpowered. And especially in H games. Just 1 ounce of kindness and the girls would instantly want to make babies with him. He'd even get away with everything, like accidentally see them in a very vulnerable position and they'd just smile at him. On the other hand, other males in the H game won't get any of the action. With one simple reason. People would hate if the girls would be interested in other guys. In some games there is even no other male characters. And he himself also understands it. He cried once and jumped in a forum when one of the female heroines touched hands with some other dude. Takioto then slumped down, realizing he's just the side character in some other guy's harem H story. He again looked at himself in the mirror. Then tries to remember what was Takioto's role in the game. Takioto Kusuki. He's just the funny guy that's friends with the protagonist. He's just the typical helpful guy, who for some reason he's smart and gives out information to the protagonist. But the downsides of him is that he's always very. I love big ones and small ones. Can I ask you guys sizes? The female heroines hates him for his indecent behavior and always beat him up for his actions. And in the game he's not that strong. The girls, and especially the main protagonist, would become very OP, making him useless. Plus, why let a guy into your harem? He himself always kicks him out when he played the game. He then puts the harem stuff aside and thinks about his future life, since it's far more important. He went down in the living room, then sees the passing exam and the pamphlet for the academy. He then reads the congratulatory note. Then got hyped, since this stuff was never in the game or even in the bonus content or the anime bundle. He was happy being reincarnated, since it's materials that he have never seen before. He then realizes that it's 2 weeks until the entrance ceremony, which is the start of the game. Takioto then thinks about the school that he'll be attending. Tsukuyami Magic Academy. As usual, it's a very super best elite supreme first class high society first class school. He's happy that he'd be attending the best magic school. Then freezes, as he realized that this world has magic. Takioto is a character who can use magic by default. But the problem is that he doesn't know how to activate it. There's no keyboards he can touch. He then went back to his room to check if there's some guides. But the first thing that he sees in his messy table is his exams with failing grades. He takes a look at them and asks how did this guy even pass the entrance exam to that elite academy. He even checked his notes to only see doodles. But checking his recent notes, he saw that it became normal, and observes that it's very detailed. He checks the book area, then discovers his diary. He opens it up, then got surprised at what he wrote. A year ago his parents were deceased. He doesn't know any relatives from her mother's side. So he went and lived with her grandmother from his father's side. But now his only relative, which is her grandmother, is currently hospitalized and her condition is getting worse. He never knew that Takioto had a rough life. He then got a flashback of whenever the heroines talk about family, he always becomes sad. He puts back the diary and realizes that Takioto has a sad backstory. After that, he saw a magic book in the table. He picks it up and sees that it's a super beginner book on how to use magic. He then sat down and engrossed himself in studying the whole book. After that, he puts down the curtains, then stands in the middle of his room. He then closes his eyes and tries to activate his magic. He concentrated and started to form something on his hand. He says light. Then celebrated because he can use magic. He can even deactivate and activate it at will. It might be the most basic spell, but he's still happy since it's something that's different from the other world. He's also hyped up because there are a lot of magic types. Attack magic, defense magic, restoration magic, support, and even indecent magic. Plus, Takioto is a character who actually has the most magical power in this game. He thinks to himself that if he'll work hard, he'd be at least become somewhat in the mid to lower high support character. And with that, he might also be able to challenge more dungeons. In the game, there is only 10 dungeons which you can teleport to. But now that he's inside the game, there's more than just 10 dungeons. But in the game, Takioto would slowly struggle in the dungeons the further he goes down because of the plot, making him an unplayable character, eventually becoming replaced. Then realized that he has knowledge of this game. He knows all the cheat items and the best skills to get in this game. And with him being Takioto, who has vast amount of magical power and his game knowledge, he's confident he can attain even higher. And might actually become the strongest. But knows that becoming the strongest would be a difficult task. The heroines are exceptionally strong. They possess official cheats that was implemented by the developers. And on top of that, the protagonist named Hijiri Iori would become strong to the point that he'll even solo the Demon Lord, which is the final boss. But he still smiles and loudly shouts that screw the plot, screw the main character, and screw his harem of girls that he can't screw. He's going to become the strongest and travel around the world and visit the amazing places he saw in this game, and is excited for the first day in school in the next 2 weeks, but freezes because he has no money. And after reading the diary, it's clear that Takioto is struggling with a lot of things. After that, someone rang the doorbell. He runs towards it and asks who might be the person he's going to meet. And as he opens the door, he saw Mommy Wow Wow Wow, the principal of the Tsukuyami Magic Academy named Hanamura Marino. Takioto got surprised since she's one of the characters in Maid and is standing right in front of him. He wonders why the principal of the academy of all people would come and visit him. The principal then asks if he's Takeyotakusuki, and asks him if he wanted to have a meal together. Okay, time for chapter 2. We then get an explanation on who she is. Her name is Hanamura Marino, the leader of the magical world, as well as the principal of the academy. She's basically the hot OP MILF you can't get. Sad. She's the OP character that sometimes appears in front of the protagonist to give helpful advice. He is still stunned as to why such an important character is standing in front of him. And seeing him being quiet, Marino apologizes. She thinks he's surprised by an unknown person coming to meet him. She bows her head and formally introduces herself. But Takioto stops her from finishing and to lift her head since he knows her very well. Normally in real life, you shouldn't just jump in on an invitation from someone you've never met. But since this is Meiji X, an H game, he might get lucky and would get an accidental touch or feel. He then finishes changing and comes back to the living room thanking the principal for waiting. She compliments him in his getup. And with that they head out. Marino then apologizes to Takioto-kun because she can only make reservations in this poor low-class store. But Takioto is stunned to see that they're in a very fancy restaurant and asks how is this considered a lower class. Takioto assures her that it's a wonderful location. Then sees the food that is worth 4 houses and a kidney. He cut the meat and starts to take it in. And got surprised at the first bite. Marino notices that he's doing the food wars thing, thankfully without the exploding clothes. Then cries as he describes that it's the kind of taste that a poor plebeian like himself would never be able to experience. Marino laughs at his interesting review on the food. Then cuts the meat and takes a bite too. And seeing this, he got turned on looking at her putting the meat in her mouth. She did the girl sound and says that it is very delicious. He thinks that Marino really acts childish too sometimes, which makes her cute. Marino really is one of those hot older waifus who's clearly better than the inferior female heroines. And back then, when he realized that Marino-san is a character you can't conquer, he wrote to the customer service about it and begged that she'd be added to an additional content DLC, but it never happened. But he's very happy right now because he can now watch her every move. Marino noticing his wide grin and manly giggling. She asks if there's something in her face. He apologizes and realized he was acting creepily towards her. Then hopes he won't get a restraining order. Because right now she's a real person and not just a 2D character. He formally apologizes for staring and reasons out that it's because she's someone very famous. She tells her it's fine, then Marino gently touched his hands. Seeing Takioto becoming nervous, she tells him to calm down since they're already plenty acquainted. He then questions as to why they actually already know each other. But can't concentrate because of her big front milker's very big wow. And thinks that it's happening. It's happening. I love older women. Marino then pouts because Takioto isn't answering her. Takioto came back to his senses, jumps back and apologizes for imagining such things. She then grabs his hand again and just said straight to him. He is now her child. He wants her to become his mommy, but not like this. And worst of all, they're actually related by blood. Turns out Marino and Takioto's mom are cousins. She apologizes for just recently hearing about the tragedies that had fell upon him. And she also apologizes for not consulting him before adopting him because she wanted to save him as quickly as possible. He thanks Marino and thinks that she's as kind as she was in the game. Marino then says that he should move into her home now since she's now her mommy. He got surprised by that. Mainly because in the game, Takioto and the protagonist lived in the same dorm and not to mention in the same room. Marino says that it's just her and her daughter living together, so they have a lot of rooms available. Plus her daughter also agreed, so he shouldn't worry about anything. Takioto then remembers her daughter and loudly says her name, which is Hatsumi-san. Marino got surprised he already know her name. Takioto reasons that she's pretty famous as well. He then recalls who she is. Hanamura Hatsumi, the only daughter of Marino-san. She's a teacher in the academy. And in the game, she's the teacher that often gives skills to the protagonist. He smiles because this living with mommy Marino and hot Hatsumi Wani-san route wasn't in the game and wants to experience it. Then he thought about the plot. Should he destroy the plot or follow it and go live in the dorm just like in the game? If he would change the plot now, all the flags and scenarios he knows might greatly change. But he also thinks about the everyday life he'll have with Marino and Hatsumi. Marino seeing that he's thinking deeply, she apologizes for moving things too fast for him. She pulls out a dormitory registry and tells him that he can also just live in a dormitory if he's uncomfortable with the idea. But she still asks him to live with them for a while to see if he wants to stay with them. Takioto agrees with her proposal. And with him agreeing, Marino pulls out her phone and asks for his number so she can come get him if he'll be done packing his belongings. Takioto hesitates for a moment and tells her that he actually doesn't have a phone. He was looking for it everywhere, but he couldn't find it. Marino then remembers something and started crying. She apologizes because she heard that he received a phone call from his parents seconds before the monsters took their life. and she apologizes for bringing up such a traumatic memory. Meanwhile, Takioto got surprised about more lore drops. He then now knows the reason why Takioto never answers the protagonist calls and chats. And that also explains why he's always hostile towards demons. Takioto was always weirdly energetic at times and realized he was actually only trying to hide his sad backstory. He felt sorry for the old Takioto and tells him that he promises he'd make him become even greater. He assures Marino-san and tells her that he's fine now and isn't scared anymore. And to prove it, he asks to hold her phone. He again tells Marino-san that he really is fine now. Marino smiled brightly. And Takioto, seeing her like that, also smiled back. Marino then grabs Takioto and tells him that they should go and buy a phone for him then, as a present for joining the family. We then see them shopping. Marino then picked the best smartphone they currently have, with Takioto telling her that it's so expensive. And with that, their date, or should I say their mother and son bonding, have ended. Marino says she would have loved to stay with him longer, but she has a business trip now. But Takioto says he had a lot of fun today and tells her to do her best. And since he said he wants to stay further in her grandma's place for a week before moving in with them, she gave him his living expenses that should be sufficient enough for 1 week. But as he opened the envelope, he sees it's a full stack of cash. Seeing Takioto's reaction, she asks if it's not enough and asks if he wants to take her card. But Takioto assures her that it's more than enough, it's even enough to buy a middle-class home. She then tells him to always contact her whenever, even if it's just a slight problem. Takioto again thanks Marino-san as the car moves away. He then can't believe that Takioto is actually a relative of the Hanamura family. Since the Hanamura family is a very influential family in the magical, political, and industrial world. He then looks at the money Marino gave him and says that it's a waste to use all of this money for living expenses, and instead, he should use the money to make himself stronger. All the knowledge he had by playing the game or going through forums and wiki. He can now use it as an advantage, which makes him excited. He has 2 weeks before the Real story begins. After that, there will be a lot of different events that will start, and he's going to take everything to make himself stronger. And so, with the money he has and a week before moving in with Mommy, he decides to check his own strength first. And that's the end of chapter 2. With the money from her mommy, he went to a convenience store. Welkian, yeah. He then found what he's looking for. Cup ramens. He bought a stack enough for a week, which startled the cat girl. Yeah. He is very excited because he wants to try every magic there is. The heroines in the game have many types of attack magic, and he definitely want to try doing it too. But he knows those are advanced magic. So he needs to start small first and master all the beginner ones. The next day, in her grandma's home, he continues studying the book. And after a while, he decided to test out what he read. He went in the middle of the backyard, closes his eyes and focused. He points his hand to the cola can and fired. But nothing happened. He wonders if he did it wrong, but then, wow, it started peeing. He then waters the plant and observes that the water seems clean as well. And with that, he was ecstatic because the water gun was a success. But then realizes that it was so weak. He got worried because the water gun was supposed to be an attack-type magic, and he even fired at full strength. But is still positive and reasons that maybe he's just bad at water-type magic. We then hear him activating every type of elemental magic: fire, wind, earth, light, darkness. He knows he's not the main character in this game, but why is he even lower than average? After a while, he puts down the magic book and curses at everything. He tried everything in the book and realizes he's so weak that there's no magic he can use in an actual battle. He even proclaimed he'd conquer dungeons and become the strongest. He sat back up and was glad that the game MaidGX wasn't a hard game and concentrated more in the lucky scenes, or else he'd probably not survive if this is like solo leveling type of story. He then remembers what the original Kusuke was in the game. Kusuke was only good as the informant, and most people would have him in the party, only in the starting. Kusuke has unfathomable amounts of mana, but his aptitude towards projectile magic is 0. So in the game, Kusuke isn't a long-range mage, but a close combat one. And in the game, he has that signature long red scarf he always uses. He pulls out his phone and decided to just order one right away. And he decided to just buy a fabric for now since it would be cheaper, plus anything can look like a scarf if you wrap it around your neck. He doesn't know the name, so he just typed in fabric magical power. Then got surprised because it cost a lot to buy for just a meter. He then got reminded of what Marino told him. He then looked for the cheapest fabric. He says that it has a lower spec, but it's within his budget, plus it has a red option. And with that he ordered one. Then got surprised because the delivery would just be in an hour. Testing everything in the book, there's only 2 magics he can use. So once the fabric arrives, he's going to train using it. After an hour, we see him jogging around. He thinks the fabric is a little bothersome, but he would probably get used to it. He then looks at the people around him. And hear people discussing about him mainly because of the large scarf he's wearing. Becoming embarrassed because people are looking at him weirdly, Harem's away. After a while he went to a more secluded park. He then activates the strengthening magic. Then dashes forward. He plans to use the body strengthening and enchantment magic until he runs out of mana. Because there's only 2 ways to level up your mana. The first one is collecting magical ingredients to be used to raise your stats and mana. And the second one is using your mana to its limits. Basically, just like Mushoku Tensei. He also strengthened his scarf. And see that it can get very hard like metal. He even thinks he might also be able to give the scarf some fire or water attributes after leveling up. But after a long time, he wonders why he isn't running out of mana. He thinks he's not pushing himself hard enough. So now he decided to use the enchantment magic to his scarf. Now they're hard and flexible. In the game, Kusuke was able to make his scarf turn into his 3rd and 4th hands. And since he has more gas in the tank, he decided to also try and master it. Doing this would eventually exhaust his mana and levels up his skill proficiency at the same time. And with that he went all out. But at sunset, we see him confused. And wonders why his mana isn't running out. He ran straight for 5 hours at full capacity and now he is even lost. His plan failed. He knows that Kusuke has a large mana capacity, but he didn't know he really has a very, very large mana capacity. Coming home, he started studying while eating cup ramens. In order to know his magical status, he needs a magical tool, but it's too expensive. He also read that there are people out there who are special. The magical world is still riddled by it. Even though there are a lot of studies and great discoveries, there are still mysteries. There's also someone that has a large mana pool who can also grasp any magic. And that is Mommy Marino-san, the hot OP MILF. He wonders if she can teach him magic. But got flustered and says there's no way the strongest mage would teach someone like him, and not to mention, she is very busy. He calms down and says the best thing he can do for now is still do the same thing. After a few days we see him running with the Batman logo. And stops himself with the help of the scarf. He took a break and wonders if there really is something wrong with him. He's getting better at using the scarf, but he can't make himself run out of mana. He sighs as he thinks that even though he has knowledge of the game, without the right strength, he won't become the strongest. Then suddenly someone says she finally found him. It was Mommy Marino saying she sensed some insane amount of magical power, so she followed it and praised him for training his magic. Kusuke was surprised. There's still a few days left before moving in and asks if her business trip is over. She says that she finished her work early and wanted to see him again as soon as possible and asks if he wants to move in earlier. But Kusuke thinks that this is his chance to help him train. Kusuke only replies that he actually has a problem, which made her curious. His thing has been solid hard for days now, and the only one that can fix his state is her. But we're family. Marino is embarrassed after Kusuke fixed the misunderstanding. If he's fine with her, then she'd gladly help him, and with that he secured her own mommy. Kusuke politely thanks Mommy Marino. But Mommy Marino flicks Kasuki's forehead and says to stop being polite with her since they're family now. The first thing Marino asks is what kind of training has he been doing. He has been working on his endurance, using strengthening and enchant magic on himself and his scarf since the day after they met, which shocks her mommy. Mommy Marino asks if he's not running out of mana doing that, with Kasuki scratching his head confirming it. He has been keeping it up for 10 hours a day, but he never tried doing it for 24 hours straight yet. Which also baffled Mommy. She did agree that using your mana until you run out, even your reserves, can definitely increase it, which she praises him for coming up with his training idea. He thanks her for the compliment and thinks that the information in the book was correct. She then asks if she can touch the scarf while he's hard to see the problem, which Kasuki gladly let her. And the moment she touched the scarf, "Mommy, why are you touching it?" Mommy Marino got surprised. He has a vast amount of mana, even above her. Kasuki was also surprised and says there's no way. He then ponders deeply. He knows that the Kasuki in the game has a great mana stat, and it even beats most of the heroines who can use advanced magic over and over. But even so, he's one of the weakest in the game, which is weird. Kasuki then asks if she can observe how he always trains, which she agrees, then does something futuristic. Mommy Marino then says to start. We then see him grabbing a barrier to turn around quickly to grab the cola. And Mommy says Kia on the call. Mommy Marino says that he's amazing, he has a lot of stamina, with Kasuki smiling for her praise. But he got confused because Kasuki in the game was also always exhausted and wonders if that is really the case. Marino questions if he's not feeling any fatigue or magic depletion doing it. Kasuki answers that he isn't feeling anything. He's even increasing his training regime more and more, but still nothing, which is troublesome. Since he can now manipulate his scarf better, Mommy Marino asks if maybe he can form it to make it a shield. Kasuki stops and makes a weird fan-shaped shield. Mommy Marino got confused. She tells him that shields do have all sorts of shapes, but questions if what he made is sturdy. Mommy Marino directed a wind attack on him and easily got defeated. Mommy Marino says flat-shaped shields can block attacks, but if the impact is big, he won't be able to guard against it. She then instructs him to imagine what most shield shapes are and questions why they are made like that. He then thinks for a moment, then puts up a curved shield that can negate impacts. Mommy Marino praises him because this would be useful in battle. He thinks she's right. His scarf is not just be used as an arm, but also can be turned as a shield with strengthening magic. Kasuki thanks her Mommy Marino for her insight, with Marino saying that him reaching the lowest floor of the dungeon won't just be a dream, and says to introduce her to his party once he'll find one when he'll be attending the academy. On some other place, a butler is standing in front of a door and informs someone inside called Ludi-sama that the preparations are ready. She acknowledges him and stands up. She steps out of the large bathtub with the maids prepared to put on her towel and put on her dress, preparing her. She then comes out and we got to know that she is the second princess of the Truffle Empire, Ludovina de la Truffle. We then get to know more about her. Princess Ludivine, short name Ludi. She is one of the main love interests in the game. She is the sharp and cold character, and treats the side character Kasuki like an insect at best. At least she is not the racist kind of elf. And once you start dating her, however, her personality turns 180. She goes lovey-dovey and wants to make babies. And as usual, people love that. Anyways, back to Kasuki. It's already been a week, and we see that Kasuki already packed everything. He comes out with Marino already waiting for him and greets each other good morning. Kasuki says he's looking forward to try living with them. But before going to Mommy's place, Marino says they're going to take a detour first. We then see them walking around the city, and see that Kasuki got hyped because there are a lot of magical tools and weapons plus ingredients, which is his first time seeing them in person. Marino says with dungeons and the elite magic academy in town, the shops here offer a much wider variety of tools and items than anywhere else. Marino then asks what weapons he would like to try. Kasuki thinks for a moment. And according to forums and wiki, Kasuki's most popular playstyle is him holding 2 shields because of his scarf adding to his physical strength in holding shields. And in the mid-game, the other characters would become stronger, not needing him anymore. And in the end, since he's too weak, he'll be seen working in the magical tool development. Because again, why add a man, a weak one, in your own harem? He himself threw him away. Kusuke says that he would want to try using some close-range weapons, but doesn't know what weapons to pick. Mommy Marino says it's normal because he still doesn't know what kind of close combat mage he wants, plus, he has the scarf. And speaking of scarf, Mommy Marino puts on a new scarf on him with her, personally sewing it. Kusuke thanks her mommy, plus there's two of them. Kusuke still unsure what to buy. Mommy Marino says they should then drive back to their home. But suddenly her phone rang. She looks at it, then apologizes to Kusuke since something urgent came up and she needs to go there right now. But promises to come back quick. And tells him that their hotel is near, to wait for her there, and he can buy and use all the amenities he wants and to just show this card so they'll serve him. Kusuke is still in disbelief that Kusuke's mom really was a Hanamura. With Marino leaving, she tells him that he should contact her if anything happens. Kusuke reaching the hotel, he is surprised. Very huge. As he comes in the hotel, everything is glistening with the staff greeting him. As he plans to just go to study in the lounge, an explosion occurred which made the people panic, with Kusuke also shocked. A staff member then urgently instructs everyone to evacuate because an explosion has occurred on some other building. Kusuke, thinking smartly, he tries to contact her mommy. But someone bumped into him, dropping his phone, and another person accidentally stepping on it. Now he has no contact with the most powerful person in the world. Kusuke then sees some men in suits sticking out and acting weird. He followed them, questioning if they might try to bomb the hotel. Sneak. As the men went in another room, he hears someone screaming angrily. And as he peeks in to see what's going on, we see Princess Ludi surrounded with only 2 guards guarding her. She angrily asks why did they betray them. Kusuke, on the other hand, in the midst of this situation, is happy to see one of the main love interests, named Ludi. He also goes in but hides in like a perfectly well-positioned wall to see and listen to what they're saying. Ludi warns the three that them being the typical lower villain NPC going up against a well-detailed, clearly high-level guard and butler will not gonna end well for them. The villain NPCs, as always in this scenario, would still fight. The maid guard immediately went in and one-shot the villain as expected. She then restrained the other one and says to the butler to capture the other guy. But then, unexpectedly, the butler attacked the maid and hit the wall. Oh no! Princess Ludi immediately goes to check up on her, calling her name Clarice. She may got some damage, but thankfully she's just knocked out. Princess Ludi asks the butler why would he do this even though he has always served the Truffle family. She's still kind and thinks he was just forced to do this, so she asks him the reason. The butler, on the other hand, just tells the princess that she's very naive and sheltered as always. She pushes the princess down, then goes on top of her, pinning her down. This looks worse with me trying to not show it. They're the metal hard ones they're showing at her that goes bang bang. But also they said they would gang her. And that is actually a canon event in the game. When you manage to riz Ludi in the game, she confesses that they took all of her first time. Bro, I only enjoy NTR when the bad guy is the protagonist, plus, why add this to the game, an H game? And it's the reason why Ludi felt anger towards men, but it was too much for the fan base that they started dropping it. Understandably, bro, why add this in an H game that should clearly only a vanilla rom-com? That the game company got scared and removed that scenario. But Kusuke clearly sees that it's gonna happen. And as Princess cries for someone for help, tables and chairs got thrown at the men. As they wonder who's intervening, one of the men started shooting at him. He got hit in the head, but thankfully he's using his scarf as a bulletproof helmet, which the butler immediately recognizes that it's a body-strengthening magic. Kusuke grabs the maid and Ludi to keep them close and asks if she's okay. In the original game, it was Marino that saved her, but that was when everything has already happened. He checks up on Princess Ludi again and see that she's shaking, which is understandable. The villains continue to fire at them. Kusuke says that Princess Ludi is a kind character. And he always cries every time he completes her route and knows all her game strats. Not only does he know all the play styles and positions that's best for her, he also knows her play styles and positions that she likes. And that alone is enough reason to break the storyline. He can't really see where the villains are because of the scarf covering them. Ludi is strong at wind magic, but this is still the start of the game, so she's still weak. They can just wait it out, but it's unknown when help would arrive. So the first thing he does is to wake up the maid. As he tells her that Princess Ludi is in trouble, she tries her best to get up. Kusuke asks her if she can use a defensive magic while playing asleep. She tells him she can, but only for a short period of time. With that settled, he then looks at Princess Ludi that he also needs her help. The only thing she needs to do is to activate light magic. But she needs to scream Aegis, which is a different type of magic, which she says she can do it. Kusuke explains that she is just going to pretend she's about to do an advanced magic, but in reality, she's just going to use a beginner light magic. They then count to 10 to start their plan. And when it's up, he pulls back his scarf, which made the villains surprised. He grabs Princess Ludi and tells her to activate it now. Ludi does her part with the maid, also making a shield for her. As Kusuke runs away, one of the villains was about to go after him, but the other guy tells him to go capture the princess. Because that spell is an advanced magic but would take time to activate. Kusuke on the other hand grabbed some tables, then signals Princess to do it. She nods, then activates light magic, which flash bang the villains. Then Kusuke went in and spun the tables around, knocking the guys out. He then sees the butler activating some magic, but Kusuke immediately threw a punch, stopping him from completing it. With all the villains down, Kusuke gathers them, then activates the strength and enchant magic to the tablecloth. He then threw it above the unconscious men as a restraint if ever they'll wake up. Princess and the maid are happy because everything was fine now. As Kusuke finished, turning it into a ball, Princess praises him for being able to defeat them all. Then cutely thanks Kusuke for saving them. Kusuke became bashful, and as he opens his eyes, the first thing he sees. It has a ribbon on the side and another cute one in front. Ludi, realizing her torn dress, exposing herself, she bashfully tells him not to look with him, saying that he didn't see anything. Kusuke panics, then pulls out the other scarf that her mommy gave, but as he walks towards them, he falls down. Reward, profit, bonus, FFM. Very squishy and very soft. Realizing what he had done, he just leaves the extra scarf and runs away, apologizing as the maid is angry and the princess screaming, "Pervert." After a while, Marino came back late, apologizing. She got notified by the attack and is glad he's safe. She also heard he saved some people, but tells him to not put himself to unnecessary danger, which Kusuke apologized for making her worry. But that being said, Marino tells Kusuke that the person he saved was actually the daughter of Truffle's emperor, then explains that she came here to actually enroll at their academy too, just like him. Kusuke already knew everything but tries to act surprised to not make him suspicious. Marino then says that they also wanted to meet to thank him, which made Kusuke scared. Marino immediately went and called for them as Kusuke meekly says there's no need to thank him. The princess then introduces herself as Ludivine, Mariange de la Truffle, and introduces the other person named Clarice, which is her maid. They then both bow down and thank Kusuke for saving them, but Kusuke tells the both of them to raise their head, and if anything, he should be the one apologizing for doing the indecent accident. Princess Ludi tells him that was just a mere accident, so there's no need for him to apologize. Kusuke can see that she's angry, which he also thinks that it's cute. The maid also shows a letter which is written by the emperor as gratitude. Princess Ludi then, with a worried face, says there's actually one last serious thing they want to talk with him. Maid Clarice says that today's incident was done by the evil god cult from their country, which they are still trying to suppress. Kusuke already knows that they're the main antagonist in Ludi's route and worries what would happen now that he changed the story. Marino also says that there's even a rumor that they have spies at the academy, and says that the Hanamura family has always been targeted too by the evil god cult and would now aim for him too, which made Kusuke scared. The maid says that he saved Princess Ludi, plus he's going to be a part of the Hanamura, so he needs to be careful from now on. The maid promises she would also protect him to the best of her abilities as their savior. But admits, like today, she was defeated easily and acknowledges her weakness. With the princess lacking protection, Marino then thought of something. She grabs Ludi's hand and tells her that they should then just live with them. Both Kusuke and Clarice questions if it's really fine. But Ludi tells Marino that she first needs to ask his father. The maid thanks Marino for assuring Ludi's safety. Marino replies that Hatsumi, her daughter, will be happy to meet Clarice again. Clarice also wants to meet with Hatsumi since it's been a long time. And I guess that's a mini lore drop that Clarice and Hatsumi was close. Ludi was also done contacting his father and immediately agreed to the proposal. With that done, Ludi says there are still some things they need to prepare, but says they would move in with them before the entrance ceremony starts. Marino says she's looking forward to living together, with Ludi sharing the same sentiment. Kusuke, on the other hand, is happy because originally, Ludi entered the academy late because of this incident, but now that it changed, she'll now enter like the rest of them. Mommy Marino, seeing Kusuke looking at her, says it's fine to look, but no touching without consent. Kusuke doesn't care how much of the story have changed. He's happy because he's meeting many of the love interests even before starting the game. And possibly he might even meet another one as well. We now jump to the day Kusuke finally moving in with the Hanamura family. Kusuke says that it's a common house, but it still looks nice. And as they come in, Hatsumi is already waiting for them at the entrance, then welcomes both of them home. As Mommy Marino is preparing the food, he tries to talk to Hatsumi, but she seems down, which made Kusuke wonder why. I kinda introduced her earlier, but again, she's a teacher in Tsukuyami Magic Academy named Hanamura Hatsumi. Kusuke, not getting any response, stands up and formally greets her and introduces himself. But again, Hatsumi is just silent and looking gloomy. He then realizes as to why Kusuke chose to live in the dormitory. Kusuke and Hatsumi are in the complete opposite of the end of the spectrum. The old Kusuke must have felt bad or uncomfortable living with her, but he still wishes they could at least get along. Their mommy Marino then interrupts the silence and says the food is ready, which made Kusuke excited. This would be the first time he would get to taste her mommy's cooking. And as he puts in the first bite, he says that it's the best food he has ever had, which made her mommy say that she loves him. Kusuke says that the fried meat was especially good. Marino says that it's bloodhorn rabbit meat and tells him the price, which made Kusuke surprised that it's expensive. He then thinks that him eating a monster meat is also a first. And yeah, Hatsumi also liked the food. As they finished eating, he again tries to introduce himself to Hatsumi, but Marino, knowing her daughter's introversion, she tells Kusuke that she already knows his situation. Marino then tells her daughter to get along with him because he's always giving it all, studying and practicing magic every day. Hatsumi is interested and asks why he's working hard every day. Kusuke replies that he wants to become the strongest student in the academy. But again, there's no reaction. Marino then tells him that their house has a library and enchantment facilities for him to study, plus they own a private land with a beautiful waterfall nearby which he can train in. Kusuke then got reminded about that waterfall. Marino's phone started ringing again and sees that, as always, the most reliable character will be gone as something big is about to happen. But not to worry, because nothing major is going to happen. She just tells Hatsumi to guide Kusuke through the house just like a big sister. Hatsumi became delighted by hearing the word big sister. She then nods as Marino says that she'll be going now and to take care of his new younger brother. Kusuke, on the other hand, is thinking that Marino is probably intentionally doing this. She then glares at Kusuke, then tries to tell his name, which made him nervous. She then says that she'll show him around, so he should follow her. Wani-chan, with Kusuke surprised, she became friendly. With Hatsumi Wani-chan showing him around, all he can think is how she flipped 180. The next room that she shows is his own room. Kusuke is amazed because it's just the right room for him. Her Wani-chan then points at her room and their mommy's room, which made Kusuke excited. He then blurts out that he's hyped to live together with mommy Marino. Hatsumi went silent hearing him say all that, then asks him if he's into older women. She acknowledges that her mom is very beautiful and looks like a student. She's not opposed to it and asks if he wants to call him daddy. Kusuke immediately denies her, and though stuff only happens in H games, she just happens to be his type. Kusuke then got reminded of Hatsumi's father who passed away. At the official wiki, they didn't add it to the game because it's very graphic and would be too much again, just like the Ludi incident. So all he knows is that she's the one continuing his father's magic research. And the magic research she'll discover will be eventually taught to the protagonist, but that's still far away. Right now, there's a lot of things he needs to improve. During the fight, he realized he needs to be able to see the other side when setting up a shield. Not knowing what is going on around while defending is dangerous, so he needs to learn skills like mind's eye or clairvoyance. He also acknowledges that he's very weak at long-range attacks. But right now, he's in the Hanamura household, which is the best place to study, so he should take advantage of it. Kusuke then excitedly asks Hatsumi to show where the library is located. But Hatsumi immediately says no. Kusuke asks why, but Hatsumi only asks why he's being very polite with her, unlike how she talks to their mother. Kusuke reasons that Marino told him to not be polite with her, and as for her, he wants to show his respect. Hatsumi also tells him to not be polite with her too, and to just call her Wani-chan with affection. Kusuke didn't know that this is actually her personality because she was just the hot teacher that helps you level up in the game. Kusuke apologizes, but asks to let him call her Hatsumi-Nisan for now because Wani-chan is too embarrassing. Hatsumi-Nisan isn't happy about it, but she tells him that it's fine. Hatsumi-Nisan then leads him to the library and opens the door. Kusuke's mouth is wide open because it looks amazing. Most families won't have such a huge library at their house like this. Hatsumi-Nisan tells him he can read all the books he likes, but Kusuke questions if he might accidentally stumble upon some important research data. Nisan assures him there's nothing important here, so he doesn't need to worry. He then sees some interesting books above, so he grabs it using his scarf. And as he opens the book and starts reading, Nisan gives him a drink. And gives another book for him to read because she's sure it's useful. Nisan then says she would continue her work here and to ask her questions if there's something he finds difficult. After a while they decided to take a break. With now closer, Kusuke asks how her school life was like when she was a student at the Tsukuyami Academy. All she said was that she didn't make many friends. Kusuke got worried he might have soured the mood. But then she says she enjoyed learning there. A lot of amazing people attends there, and she assures him that the academy is best when it comes to blooming your abilities and strengths. The academy also has ranks. The higher you are, the more classes you can take, so the teachers can teach what you lack and help you rank up. Kusuke says he would want to take some advanced magical classes, but thinks it might be too difficult. Hatsumi-Nisan then offers to teach him magic. But Kusuke admits that he's actually struggling with projectile-type magics, so he might not even follow if she teaches him. Kusuke thinks that even if he'll learn high-ranked magic, the output would probably still be weak, so it might be best to train physically and learn dungeon tactics. He also thinks that it's probably best to live with Mommy and Nisan because everything here is better. Unlike the dorms, there is no curfew, and there's the waterfall area that he can peacefully train in, which made Kusuke get reminded by it. Kusuke then says that he'll now go and train outside in the waterfall. Hatsumi-Nisan asks if she should guide him there. But Kusuke says they ran past it with Mommy this morning, plus he doesn't want to disrupt her work. And off he went. The waterfall area. In the game, it's actually a place you can unlock in the game later on, because it's one of the places where you get invited to train by another love interest. He wonders if she's there right now. Kusuke then says she's his most reliable girl. She always chooses her first because no matter how hard the battles are, she always slays every boss. As he reaches the waterfall, she's actually there. And her name is Yukine, which is also her senpai. He then stalks her as she trains, slicing the waterfall, then defending herself with the droplets. Okay, that's actually pretty OP. After that, he smiles, then runs away like a creep. He saw that move in the game, but it's completely different in real life. He then got hyped and wants to become strong fast. and one day catch up to Yukine-senpai. Evening already came. Kusuke wants to train more, but he might worry her mommy and Nissen. But going back home, he sees that Marino is still not home with Hatsumi Nissen probably still working in the library. He decided to take a bath first, but as he opens the shower, bro, he can see everything. She's like showing it to him. They're huge. Hatsumi covers herself quick, and to be equal, Nissen looks down too at his rooster. Hatsumi Nisanthan Kia, as Kusuke apologizes and runs away grabbing his scarf to cover his probably hardened pipe. But because this is an H game, he trips and falls. Marino at this time also arrives and hear the loud commotion in the house. She comes in panicking, saying she's not late just like the typical OP characters. And she really is not late, she came in at the right moment. Oh my. Marino just says they're moving fast, too fast, as she's trying to cover her eyes. Kusuke tries to explain. But as always, lucky moments like these ends in pain. Kusuke apologizes with Hatsumi Nissen, saying it's partly her fault too for not locking the door. Mommy Marino, on the other hand, is glad that they got to know each other now, emotionally and physically. In the next morning, Kusuke wakes up to Mommy Marino waking him up and greeting him good morning. Kusuke wakes up and greets Marino a good morning too. Mommy then praises Kusuke for easily waking up unlike her Nissen, which made him surprised. She tells him that her Nissen is really hard to wake up, and if you leave her alone, she'll never wake up. She says she waked him up early like he said, and to have a good morning run, while she'll now also start making breakfast. We then see Kusuke running with logs and doing front flips. He is very happy training in a private land. No one would look at him weirdly running around doing stunts, practicing his agility and control of his scarf. He also wants to learn another skill, which is called Mind's Eye. It increases accuracy rate, evasion rate, and the H-game bonus, a confession rate. And according to the game's explanation, it can also make you see your opponent's movement and location through walls, so it's a good skill, what he'll make another defense barrier. And the best way to get Mind's Eye right now is to be taught by Mizumori Yukine because she already has the Mind's Eye in the beginning. And she's training here too. He then heads to the place where she usually trains, but sees that she's not there. She then greets him good morning from behind, surprising Kusuke, and praises him for training early in the morning. She then apologizes for surprising him and introduces herself as Mizumori Yukine, a student at Tsukuyomi Magic Academy. All Kusuke then do is stare at her grinning happily, that she's really here, the Yukine senpai that she trusts the most. Yukine made a puzzled expression, then asked if there's something wrong, which made him break from his trance. Kusuke then introduces himself and says he'll be entering the academy this year. She's happy to meet a diligent junior and says it's nice to meet him. The headmaster, which is Mommy Marino, actually informed her about him, then apologizes. She actually noticed his presence yesterday when he was training, which Kusuke knows it's because of the Mind's Eye. She was given permission from the headmaster to train here, but wants to ask his permission too because she might be an eyesore. Kusuke tells her that she can stay and, on the contrary, seeing her senpai every day would get him pumped, which made her happy. She tells him that she's going to take a break after finishing her first training and asks if he has time and to chat with her more, with Kusuke happy saying yes. We then fast forward to them taking a small break after training. Kusuke explains that the reason he's training every day is for him to be a little stronger before the first day in school. Yukine senpai is curious about his scarf. Kusuke then happily shows her the things he can do with it. He then makes a seat for both of them to sit on. And she got amazed because this is actually a rare skill. Plus, after working out, he still has mana to do enchant magic and can form shapes and objects accurately. Kusuke is honored to be complimented by the vice president of the disciplinary committee. Yukine questions how he knew she was the vice president, with Kusuke quickly saying her mommy told him. He then also compliments her senpai. But Yukine's senpai, being humble, just tells him that there's always someone better than her. She then asks if there are some more things he can do. Kusuke says he's about to release everything he got in this next magic. Then shows her the result. She asks if he really went all out, with him saying he's terrible with releasing any type of long-range magic and seems that he might have some special physical constitution. Yukine-senpai got worried and apologizes for not knowing, but Kasuki assures her that it's fine. He might have some weakness, but he's still having fun. And even with those debuffs, as long as he works hard and not give up, he'll stand as the top student at the Tsukuimi Magic Academy. Yukine-senpai is speechless for a moment, then smiles because with his determination, it's guaranteed that he'd for sure would be able to take a position in the 3 committees. It's not explained here, but yeah, when you're strong or have some type of reputation at school, you'll be forced to join one of the 3 committees. And with their break over, it's time to return to training. Yukine-senpai then asks if he wants to train together, which made Kasuki excitedly agree. She even asks if there's some type of training she can help with, and Kasuki, realizing this is his chance to learn something from her. Kasuki asks to teach her mind's eye. Yukine-senpai is surprised, then asks if he's serious. We then cut to the falls, with them training. But Kasuki can concentrate because of the cold. Being wet and freezing, he wants to go home. Yukine-senpai, seeing that he's losing focus, she tells him to clear his mind. Kasuki, shivering, asks what's the meaning of doing this, but she just tells him to be silent. In the midst of all the distractions, he needs to focus on his consciousness, so he can feel the magic scattered around him to create an image. But he can only see darkness and feels very cold. In the game, her senpai's clothes are supposed to be see-through because of the waterfall training. It's the reward for completing the mind's eye skill, but he can't be bothered to even sneak a peek because he's having a hard time. Kasuki, not seeing anything, asks if her senpai is still there. She says she's here beside him and tells him that once he learned the skill mind's eye, even with his eyes closed, he would be able to see her. You can even train it to the point where you can see your opponent's magical movements and to be able to counter their attacks, which is another branch of it, which is called clairvoyance and future vision, and she admits she's still far from that. Kasuki, on the other hand, wants to quit for today. She tells him to sharpen his senses and feel the magic with his 7th sense. Kasuki thinks that the 7th sense doesn't exist in his previous world, so he's struggling and concentrating itself is very difficult. Kasuki tries to tell her that he's had enough, but Yukine-senpai tells her to not complain and to focus. After an hour, Kasuki is shivering, and what's worse is that he never learned mind's eye. Yukine-senpai tells him that he may misunderstood something, that there's no way anyone can acquire the mind's eye skill in just an hour. He then got reminded that he's not the main character, and the only way to learn it is by hard work and believing in himself. Yukine-senpai then cheers him up, saying he's just entering the academy, so he doesn't need to rush. She also says she'll be accompanying him too until he acquires the skill, which made Kasuki happy. And Besidish's also training herself. Her father told her that she should be able to sense even the weak points of the monsters. The more you master mind's eye, the more you can see everything from your surroundings to your opponent. Kasuki says that the mind's eye is really essential, which her senpai agrees. When he played the game, you just needed to do that training 3 times before you can acquire the mind's eye. He may not be able to attain it in a few days, but with Yukine-senpai with him, it'll work out somehow. And with their morning training done, Kasuki thanks her senpai for today and says he'll be in her care. Kasuki returning home. He removed his dirty scarf and put it in the washing machine. Kasuki thinks that maybe he should buy more, plus the one he gave to Princess Ludi is still yet to be returned. He then knocks at the bathroom to check first if anyone's there, then goes in and takes a bath without any incidents. Disappointed, Mommy Marino then calls for Kasuki to eat breakfast, but asks him to wake up her sister as she plates the dishes. So he went upstairs. He knocks on Hatsumi Nissan's room, but there's no answer on the other side. Getting reminded of Mommy Marino's earlier comment, he comes into her room, and there she sleeps. Oh my, she's definitely bigger than Mommy's. Whoa, very nice. He shakes the bad things he's thinking, and tries to wake Nissan up, but there's still no answer. He then holds her shoulder to try to wake her up, then shakes it but sees she's still not responding. Kasuki then tries to pull her then.
Wow. Boing.
Bro, She's wearing the special see-through clothes, truly making him hard. But our boy is a good boy and covers her up. But then, Hatsumi pulls Kasuki to her bed. Guys, I feel lonely. He then tries to move slowly to not wake her up. He then checks to see if she's still sleeping and observes that she really is beautiful. He manages to escape the grappling move, then sees that the clothes she's wearing are slipping. He surrenders and decides to ask for mommy's help. But then, half asleep, she starts taking those transparent clothes off. He worries that Mommy Marino might think he's the one who took it off, so he goes back and tries to cover her. Then accidentally, grabs both of those big ones. He then thinks that her Nissen would put him to sleep this time for sure. But then he thinks that this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. If I rub them secretly. Bro, he's squeezing her. Bro, he's trying to milk them. Kasuki? Marino, seeing that they're still not going down. She went up too and assumes that Kasuki can't wake up her sister. She knocks first, saying that she's coming in.
Kia.
How is this guy still breathing? Mommy Marino then says that her suspicion is right, that there's something going on between both of them, and says to take their time. But Kasuki tries to fix the misunderstanding. Hatsumi Nissen, on the other hand, is dreaming of her mom's omelet rice. We then fast forward to them after eating breakfast. As Kasuki is finished drying the plates, Mommy Marino asks if he's free today, because she needs someone to help her with shopping, which he confirms. She then shows him the shopping list. But he got confused, because it's a lot of food for only 3 people. But Mommy Marino says that Ludi and Clarice contacted her saying that they're ready to move in, so they'll have a party today. Kasuki is surprised while Hatsumi is confused. Mommy Marino says that they'll arrive in the afternoon, so the party will be held at night. Hatsumi, on the other hand, is looking at her old notes. Mommy Marino is excited and says that this is a welcome party for him too, since he decided to live with them. Hatsumi Nissen then says that Clarice is a martial arts master, so she's sure she can teach him close combat skills. But Kasuki replies she might hesitate because of the lucky accident he did. Her Nissen asks what he did, but he just replies it's best to forget about it. He also says he's actually learning a new skill from Yukine-senpai. Marino is happy they got acquainted. Kasuki says they decided to train together and asks if he can invite her too, which got an automatic yes. Mommy Marino, excited, thinks about the dishes she'll cook to surprise them. Then suddenly, Nissen also wants to make something and wants to make Kasuki happy. Marino freezes, then panickingly tells her that she'll be in charge of the decorations and to leave the cooking to her mom. Kasuki asks why. Then Mommy Marino goes closer to him, then whispers to him to keep her sister away from the kitchen. On the other side, we see that Princess Ludi and Clarice are coming. Clarice is worried that Ludi would be in the same house as that gentleman, even if Marino and Hatsumi are there. But Ludi assures her that it's fine. He risked his life to save them, and he's not a bad person, which she agreed. She then looks out in the window and says that they'll arrive there soon. In the afternoon, after shopping, Kasuki went back to the waterfalls to spar with Yukine-senpai. Yukine-senpai compliments Kasuki, and as he compliments her back, he got distracted by her big ones, which he got punished. Yukine says it's her win again, with Kasuki exhausted, saying that he lost again. Yukine-senpai cheers him up that he'll be stronger in no time. With his training and dedication, he'll definitely rise to the top. She also aspires to become stronger and has no intention of falling behind. Kasuki thinks she's as the same as the game and promises to make up for it by helping her trigger her awakening event in the future. Kasuki's alarm then went off and says he'll be going now. Yukine-senpai asks if the Princess of Truffle is already nearing their house, which Kasuki agrees, saying he needs to greet and help them move their belongings. Kasuki reminds her to come in the evening to attend the welcome party, which she promises she'll go. Coming back home, as Kasuki is helping in moving some boxes, he got surprised that every single one of the men and women elves are all beautiful. Mommy Marino then calls for Kasuki's attention. then tells him that Ludi and the rest are just in the corner coming. After that, a horse with a carriage then pulls up, and in comes out the second daughter of the Truffle Empire, Ludovine Marie-Ange de la Truffle. She greets Marino and Kasuki, then returns the scarf Kasuki gave her during the incident. She bows down and thanks him again, calling him Kasuki-sama, but Kasuki tells Princess Ludovine that he already accepted her gratitude. Princess Ludovine asks him to just call her Ludi, with Kasuki also saying to just call him Kasuki. She then smiles at him and is happy that they're going to be classmates. Hatsumi also comes out and greets Clarice. Clarice beams and greets her former teacher. As they continue to talk, Ludi explains to Kasuki that her Nissen was Clarice's magic teacher. Clarice tells Hatsumi Sensei-sama that she had more magic power than the average elf, but can't use it at all. But thanks to her teaching, she learned to use her magic. Kasuki is surprised her condition is similar to his. Clarice tells her that she's here today because of her, but Hatsumi tells her it's because she worked hard. She was given the help she needed. And now they're even helping her protect what's precious to her, so she's forever in debt to them, and all Marino just says is to not worry about it. She told them both, Ludi-chan and Clarice, to make themselves at home, which they thank her for it. The servant then comes and informs that they have finished unloading the luggage and would now return to the Empire, which Ludi thanks them for their hard work. Mommy Marino then invites them to the house and take a break first before unpacking their belongings. But then Kasuki notices that Clarice is not coming with them, which he questions. She tells him she'll come later. She'll just move the boxes to the second floor quickly. Kasuki, seeing there's a lot of boxes, he offers to help her. She is surprised and tells him there's no need, but Kasuki insists because she doesn't know their rooms, plus the tea would get cold. Kasuki then notices the fragile warning in the box he's holding. He wonders what's inside, and Clarice, knowing what it is, blushes. Then embarrassingly tells him it's some thin cloth that she can't show to him.
Pantsu.
Clarice tells him she'll carry it. But Kasuki, not wanting to be more awkward, tells her it's fine. He won't peek inside of it. She apologizes for making things awkward. As Kasuki is carrying it, he then feels hot knowing he's carrying something important. He then sees a string and, without checking it properly, he uses it to tie his hair. Bro, your hair isn't even that long. Kasuki then informs her where her room would be and warns her to be careful in the stairs. Clarice thanks Kasuki, then thinks that he's a really nice person. But as she looks up at him,
She saw something.
then sweats a lot as she realizes what that string is. She screams loudly, which made Kasuki confused and asks what's wrong. Clarice, turning red, asks why her lady's clothing is in his head. Kasuki immediately pulls it out in his hair, and knowing what it is, spreads it out and see it even more. He then imagines Clarice wearing it. Damn, that maid outfit of hers is hiding her assets. Clarice bows down and apologizes. She does the kowtow and says it's all her fault. Kasuki tries to calm her down. She then says she's ashamed and failed as a maid for not securing everything properly. Kasuki, wanting more, falls down the very stairs he warns her about, spreading the fragile boxes, content everywhere. Why are they all strings? Our boy, as always, gives a squeeze first, then confirms that her behind is really amazing. It's the god of behinds. Clarice is knocked out, and everything looking like a crime scene. He panics. Ludi then came, worried that they're gone for so long, and there's a loud noise. Kasuki assures her that everything's fine. He just says he lost his footing, but they're both okay. And with that, Kasuki managed to not get punished. And Clarice also woke up, not remembering what happened. Evening came, and Mommy Marino and Kasuki welcomes Yukine, with her bringing some food for the celebration. And with that, the party started, with the Oyakaodon welcoming Ludi, Clarice, and Kasuki to the Hanamura family. Ludi thanks them both, with Kasuki happy to be a part of their family. They then went ahead to the table, and wow, look at that. Ludi and Clarice then introduced themselves to Yukine's senpai, with her introducing herself too. Mommy Marino then brings in her cooking, and the girls are amazed by it. I don't know what these are, but I'd still eat Marino. Mommy Marino hopes they would like it. And as they take the first bite, Wind started blowing in their hair, amazed by how it tastes. Ludi then says that the royal chef can't even make something this amazing. It's beyond amazing. Marino is happy to hear their compliment. Clarice also compliments Marino, saying that everything from her magical powers to her cooking is truly immeasurable. Marino then brings out a wine that would certainly go well with the food, but it's for them adults only. Clarice knows that wine, and it's something that anyone can't just get. Marino says that it's a rare wine she got just for today. Then pours one for Clarice. Hearing all the compliments about her mom's food, Hatsumi also says she wanted to make something too. Clarice is excited to one day taste her sensei's cooking too. Kasuki then noticed that he never had Hatsumi Nissan's cooking before and wanted to give it a try. Hearing Kasuki wanting a taste of her cooking, she stands up and asks Kasuki to give her a minute. Her mother tries to stop her, but she already went to the kitchen. Clarice, thinking she was the one who urged her, asks if she needs some help. She may be a knight, but she's also a maid. She declines, saying that she's about to make something special. She wants to make it on her own. Yukine, hearing Clarice say she's a knight, asks if she really is one. Clarice tells the younger ones that she's proficient in swordsmanship and would gladly give them pointers. Kasuki then wants to ask her about something. It's about how she overcome her issue with releasing her magic, because he also can't properly release any type of projectile-type magic. Clarice thinks for a moment. She then says she heard a theory that apparently skills manifest more readily at times when you need them the most. Clarice, hearing about his constitution, says, "You were just like her for real, when she was also still learning." Yukine Senpai says even though he has a constitution, his current skills are still amazing, with Marino adding that Kasuki is a special type mage. Ludi, hearing it the first time, says he's similar to one of the first saint where she wasn't able to use ranged magic either. But Kasuki stops her from thinking he's also going to end up like one. All he wanted was to become the strongest person. Clarice then tells him how she managed to overcome it, and it's by obtaining more skills, which made him confused. She has mastered the sword and bow, and gained skills as a reward, and some of them are magic-related, so now that she can use magic, she's now a magic sword woman, and is now a magic tank too. Kasuki is intrigued because he didn't know it can work that way. Clarice then says Hatsumi-sensei told her to open different types of pathways to obtain more skills, and that way, it might fix his condition. And if it's fine with her, she can also help him train, which he's happy to accept. With Yukine-senpai and Clarice helping him, he's very thankful. After a while, both Clarice and Marino kept pouring wine in their glasses repeatedly, since they're the only legal ones. Kasuki tries to stop them both, while Ludi is just happy seeing that they're getting along. Marino, hearing Ludi's comment, then tells Ludi that they all should get along, so she prepared something fun. The King's Game. Kasuki is worried. Bro already knows he's about to have another lucky moment, while Ludi wonders what that game is. Kasuki then explains that they'll draw a stick, one of them would become king, and the rest would follow the king's command. Ludi got scared and asks how is this fun. Mommy Marino then, as a practice run, says she'll be the king first and orders the number one to give the king a shoulder massage. Ludi is relieved it's just simple commands, then instructs the rest to draw. Kasuki got number one, which Mommy says she's lucky. He massages her, which Kasuki also says he's lucky. And now that the practice run is over, the king can now be drawn. Kasuki then hopes he won't be the king because he knows he won't control himself. He's God's favorite. He then thinks of a command that the girls would not find him look bad. As he's deep in thought, thinking that massaging him would probably hold in court, Mommy Marino pouts as she tells him to hurry up. Having thought of the best solution, the king commands number 3 to remove a piece of your clothing, which is Ludi. Clarice, realizing it's Ludi, she pleads for him that she'll do it in Ludi's stead. She'll sacrifice everything for Ludi-sama. Then cries as she asks to give her a moment because she's also a woman and needs to ready herself. She's pretty much wasted. So the girls decided to find something to sober her up. While they're gone, Clarice then removed, well, everything. Bro says she should stop, but like, why did you lay on the floor and let her get on top of you? Mommy Marino, on the other hand, is just there smiling, as her own child keeps screaming for help. If he wanted, she may not have experience, but he could use her as a training. And guys, survival tips. To stop a woman, hold their milkers to stop them from advancing.
So soft.
Ludi and Yukine Senpai then comes back and see what's happening. And with them screaming because of what's happening, the king's game finally ended. Both the women then finally sobered up and kneels for forgiveness. Clarice says the wine tasted amazing, that she drank a lot. While her mommy was drunk, she was checked out. Kasuki, seeing it's already late, Marino asks Yukine if she wants to stay over, but she declines. Mommy Marino then says she's always welcome to come live with him too, since they have plenty of extra rooms, which Kasuki questions if her mommy is still drunk. Kasuki then says he'll walk her home, which she thanks him for it. Ludi says it was a very enjoyable gathering and they should clean up too now, which Clarice agreed. But then Hatsumi calls for everyone's attention, as she finally cooked, and to have this dessert before calling it a night. The rest are in awe as they noticed it's glowing brightly. Her mother, on the other hand, walks away and says she's full. Hatsumi Nissen uses a chopstick and asks Kasuki to say ah. And all what's next are fireworks in some bridge with a yacht. Mommy Marino then begs everyone to wake up. Kasuki survived, and the rest too, with Hatsumi happy. And that's how their party ended.